Now, one of the second reasons for the disunity is which organization you belong to. Organization. I belong to Jamaat-e-Islami. I belong to Tabligh Jamaat, Ikhwani. So these organizations, what happens? See, if you follow Quran and Sunnah, but if you don't belong to my organization, I'm not with you. See, making organization is not wrong in Islam. Giving name to an organization, Jamaat-e-Islami, Jamiyat-e-Hadith, no problem. Giving any name, giving name to an organization, Jamaat-e-Islami, Jamiyat-e-Hadith, no problem. Giving any name, Jamaat-e-Hadith, Jamaat-e-Islami, or center named after Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah, no problem. But if that organization is following Quran and Sunnah, according to Salaf as-Salihin, it's the right organization, otherwise it is wrong. Give it any name. After Hazrat Umar, may Allah be pleased with him. After Hazrat Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him. After Ibn Taymiyyah, Allah be pleased with him. After Abu Hanifa, may Allah's mercy be on him. No problem. No problem. If that organization is following Quran and Sahih Hadith, as understood by the Salaf as-Salihin, it's the right organization. If it is not, reject the organization, whether its name is belonging to anyone, whether it's after Ibn Taymiyyah, or whether it is Salafi, whether Ahle Hadith. If it follows Quran and Sahih Hadith, according to the understanding of the Salaf as-Salihin, it is the right organization. So forming organization is not wrong in Islam. Because like we are specialized in dawah. Some people are specialized in Islah. Some people are specialized in science. No problem. But what happens if there are two organizations doing dawah? Two organizations. Both are following Quran and Sunnah. But it does not belong to my organization, so I'm against him. I start giving fatwa. What fatwa? That person is a kafir. Takfir. Direct. Don't go to that organization. People said, don't come to the peace exhibition. But the Zakir told me, people are telling, don't come to peace exhibition. Why? Because peace exhibition is not organized by me. If it was organized by me, then it is good. If it is organized by the Jamaat I belong to, it is a good exhibition. If it is not organized by my Jamaat, it's not a good it's not a good exhibition. Why? We have to see Allah and His Rasul. If that organization, if that exhibition is following Quran and Sahih Hadith, according to the understanding of the Salaf as-Salihin, it is the right organization. There's no problem. So making organization is no problem, as long as the organization is on the Quran and Sahih Hadith. So if you want to join any organization, verify for yourself whether the organization is Quran and Sahih Hadith. If there's a difference in the Hadith and Quran understanding, as per the understanding of the Salaf as-Salihin, the pious predecessors, the 3 generations, finished. Answer is easy. But people give fatwa. Takfir. We'll come to takfir later on. And according to the hadith of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, hadith of Sahih Bukhari, volume number 8, hadith number 637, the Prophet said, any Muslim who says kafir to another Muslim, it comes back to him. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, it's mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, volume number 8, hadith number 6103, that any Muslim tells to another Muslim he's a kafir, he kills him. Now, based on this, the scholars, they said, great scholars, they said that you should not do takfir. Takfir means calling another Muslim, another believer a kafir. And there are various fatwas of these hadith, that according to Hafiz ibn Hajar, he said that the hadith of Sahih Bukhari says that if you call a Muslim a kafir, it comes back to you. That means the kufr comes back to you and you become a kafir. Sheikh Shawkhani, he said that do not call another believer a kafir until the proofs, the burhan, are as clear as the daytime of the sun. Unless it's clear to you that he's a pakka kafir. Proof. See, it's not fard to call a kafir a kafir. It's not fard. Even if the Muslim may be a kafir, while giving a fatwa. Takfir. One calling other kafir, outside the fold. So the various fatwas describing it is wrong. Now, as I mentioned, as far as calling the word Salafi, there are two groups of scholars. One group of scholars say it is fard, and I give you example of Sheikh Nasruddin Albani. I want to even let you know that Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, who I respect, he is the scholar of the present time, even he says calling Salafi is a fard. To a lesser extent, not very staunch, is Sheikh bin Baz. He says fine to identify yourself, no problem. But there are other group of scholars who say calling Salafi is wrong. Scholars who believe in Quran, Hadith and Salaf Salihin. First, I will quote you the person who's respected the most amongst the Salafis of the present time, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah. There's a book called The Call to Islam and the Caller, in which 40 hadiths are mentioned. The 40th hadith, the last hadith, is a hadith in which it is mentioned. It's hadith of Tirmidhi, hadith number 2600. There it is said that Allah's Messenger, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, said that I have been instructed with 5 things which I am instructing to you. First is Jama'ah. First is Jama'ah. Jama'ah means following the 3 generations, the Salaf Salihin. Second is obeying. Third is hearing. Fourth is hijrah. And fifth is jihad in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. First is Jama'ah, following Salaf Salihin. Second is hearing. Third is obeying. Fourth is hijrah. Fifth is jihad in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 5 things. And anyone who goes away by a span's difference from the Jama'ah, he has thrown the yoke of Islam off his neck. And anyone who calls to anyone besides Allah, he is inviting you to the abode of hellfire. Hadith, classified as Sahih. Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah says, after this hadith, in this book, that one of the Salaf, the pious predecessors, he said that I don't know on which of the 2 things should I thank Allah more, for bringing me to Islam or for keeping me away from the innovators. One of the Salaf, he quotes and he says, I don't know which of the 2 things should I thank Allah more, for bringing me Islam, for me becoming a Muslim, or for keeping me away from the innovators. You should call yourself only, even in the previous hadith of Tirmidhi, it ends by saying, if you call anything besides the way of the Allah, what Allah has called you, and he says Muslim, Mu'min and Abdullah. A Muslim, a believer and the worship of Allah. If you call anything besides these 3 things to yourself, you're calling yourself to hellfire. Hadith. This Salaf, Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah quotes, that if you call anything, I don't know which thing should I thank more for Allah, for bringing me Islam or for keeping me away from the innovators. You cannot call anything besides what Allah has called you in the Quran. Muslim, Mu'min and Abdullah. Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah. So how can you quote saying Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah says you should call yourself Salafi? What Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah says, you have to follow the Salaf Salihin, which even I say. Sheikh Ibn Taymiyyah never said call yourself Salafi. I'm quoting you another scholar, Sheikh Utaymi. Now see, all these scholars are stalwarts of the present time. All 3 expired now. Sheikh Nasruddin Albani, Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Utaymi. In the book of Until When Will We Differ, there's a book of Sheikh Utaymi. It's available there in the exhibition. Until When Will We Differ, on page number 36. An Indian asks Sheikh Utaymi a question. In my country, people call towards Ikhwani and Tablighi. Are they on truth or falsehood? Sheikh Utaymi gives the reply. If anyone calls himself as Ikhwani, calling towards Ikhwani, Tablighi or Salafi, he is on falsehood. The question of Salafi wasn't there. Sheikh Utaymi goes out of his way to say that anyone calls himself a Ikhwani, a Tablighi or a Salafi, calling towards, it is on falsehood, not I. See, Dr. Zakir Naik is nothing in Islam. I am 0. Sheikh Utaymi, mashallah, has a caliber. So I am following the fatwa of Sheikh Utaymi. So any Salafi who points a finger at me will have to point a finger at Sheikh Utaymi. Now all these people on the website you go, they even say Sheikh Utaymi says call us a Salafi. What he says? Sheikh Utaymi says you should follow the Salafi Salih. But that even I say. So Sheikh Utaymi does not mind anyone following Salafi Salih. But if you call towards saying call yourself a Salafi, he says it is falsehood. Sheikh Utaymi. So Sheikh Nasruddin Albani is on one extreme, Fard. Sheikh Utaymi says it is wrong. But both agree. Sheikh Nasruddin Albani also says that if you call us a Salafi, thinking you're superior, then it is wrong. Sheikh Saleh Fawzan also says, if you say I'm a Salafi, I'm superior, then it is wrong. So even these first group of scholars who say calling Salafi is a fard, even they agree. If you call us a Salafi and say that I'm superior, I will go to Jannah, others won't go, that is wrong. Sheikh Saleh Fawzan, Sheikh Nasruddin Albani, Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Utaymi, besides saying this, he says you should not call yourself a Salafi. I am not as staunch as Sheikh Utaymi. If you ask me, I said, preferably call yourself Muslim. If someone calls himself Salafi, in some cases can be mubah. Fine, shortcut. I don't say it's haram. I don't say it's haram. But I prefer safe, 100% safe Muslim. The scholars are differing. Should call or not call. If someone is calling as a shortcut, instead of saying, I follow Quran, Hadith and Salafi Salih, only till that extent, which is not the case. Most of the people, they say Salafi, saved sect. Means all the others go to Jahannam. So this way it is wrong. For short reason, if you say, I say mubah, not a fard. I am more with the fatwa of Sheikh Saleh Munajjid. Sheikh Saleh Munajjid says, if you call for understanding that you do not belong to the innovators, there is no problem. But if someone calls saying, I'm a Salafi better, then it is wrong. And he quoted the hadith of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And at the time of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam Medina, there was a fight between the Ansar and the Muhajirs. So the Ansar said, oh Ansar, come to me. So all the Ansars piled behind Ansar. And the Muhajir said, oh Muhajir, come help me. The Prophet came to know, he said, what is this call of Jahiliyyah? See, if you analyze, calling Ansar is not bad, calling Muhajir is not bad. But here they were making groups. Ansar, come and help me. Muhajir, come and help me. The Prophet said it is the call of the Jahiliyyah. Though Ansar is a good name. Ansar means the helpers. Helpers of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Muhajir means those who migrated in the way of Allah and His Rasul. It's a good name, but yet the Prophet said it is haram. To identify yourself, I'm superior. So based on this, I don't say Salafi is haram. Don't get me wrong. But absolutely safe is Muslim. If you say Salafi and have a little bit of error and, ego and all, problem may be dangerous, which the Prophet prohibited. Therefore, safe is, call innani min al-Muslimin, say that I'm a Muslim. Otherwise, I can say I'm a Pakka Hanafi, Pakka Shafi, Pakka Hamli, Pakka Malki, Pakka Salfi, Pakka Ahli Hadith, no problem. But in label, call yourself a Muslim. I would like to end my talk by giving the opinions in the ending of these great scholars, which will open up your mind. According those people who say takfir, no takfir, kafir, kafir. Imam Shafi, may Allah's mercy be on him, he said that if calling the names, attributes of Allah, what Allah has given is that. Anything else is haram, is kufr. You can only call to names of Allah what He and His Messenger have given, nothing else. Anything else is kufr. But if someone calls another name in ignorance, then he's not a kafir. Imam Shafi. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, you know what he said? He said, if someone prostrates to a man and he thinks this is his deen, then he's not an unbeliever. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. If someone does shudu to a man, Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah said, if someone does sajda to a man, to a human being, and thinks it is his deen, he is not an unbeliever until someone explains to him, and yet he's on it. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. What a great personality. Further, if you read Sheikh Shawkani, he said that if someone bows down to anyone besides Allah in ignorance, he is not an unbeliever. Muhammad ibn Wahab, may Allah's mercy be on him, he said that we do not call unbelievers to those people who bow on the idol of the grave of Abdul Qadir or on the idol of the grave of Ahmad Badawi or the likes of it. So how can we call unbeliever to those people who do not do shirk? We claim that we are knowledgeable, giving takfir, kafir, etc. I would like to end with the two. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, what a great personality. Further, if you read Sheikh Shawkani, he said that if someone bows down to anyone besides Allah in ignorance, he is not an unbeliever. Muhammad ibn Wahab, may Allah's mercy be on him, he said that we do not call unbelievers to those people who bow on the idol of the grave of Abdul Qadir or on the idol of the grave of Ahmad Badawi or the likes of it. So how can we call unbeliever to those people who do not do shirk? We claim that we are knowledgeable, giving takfir, kafir, etc. I would like to end with the two hadiths of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in Sahih Muslim, volume number 3, hadith number 4565, that Arfaja, may Allah be pleased with him, he said that the Messenger of Allah said that there will be a time when evil things will happen in a community. And whenever a person disrupts the unity of the Muslim Ummah, strike him with the sword. And if he does not stop, kill him. A messenger said, anyone who tries to disrupt the unity of the Muslim Ummah, strike him with the sword. If he does not stop, kill him. Sahih Muslim, volume number 3, hadith number 4565. I would like to end my talk with the last hadith of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is from Sahih Bukhari, volume number 4, hadith number 3606. I know the lecture is long. Last hadith. Here, Hudayfa ibn Yaman, may Allah be pleased with him, he says that people like asking to the Prophet what things are good, but I, due to fear, like to ask the Prophet what is evil. And he asked the Prophet that we were in ignorance and evil, and Allah through his guidance, he brought us to the good. Will there be any evil after this? The Prophet said, yes, there will be evil. Will there be any good after that evil? The Prophet said, yes, but with a little dakhan, with a little evil. So the Sahaba asked, what is that evil? The Prophet said, there will be some people who will call towards things which are not my tradition. The Sahaba asked, after that, will there be an evil? The Prophet said, yes. There will be people who will call you to the hellfire. So Hudayfa, may Allah be pleased with him, he asked, what should we do? So the Prophet replies, hold fast to the group of Muslims and the chief. So the Sahaba asked, what if there is no group of Muslim and the chief? The reply of the Prophet is, if there are no group of Muslim or no chief, dissociate yourself from all the sects, even if you have to bite the root of the tree until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that state. Wa akhir dawana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.